Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a long time since we've had a video out and I'm sorry about that, but as longtime viewers of the channel may remember, I have times of the year whenever I get busy with seasonal work here on the ranch, and summertime is one of those seasons. We're putting up our grass hay and we just got it up. We spent several weeks on that, and when we get done with that, I like to take a week off with the family, load up in the camper and go to the mountains. So we did that. And we had a lot of fun in the mountains, getting some R&R and having a little fun vacation there in the mountains, doing some wheeling. But we're back now, so now it's time to get back in the swing of things, back in the shop. You know, when we're in the hayfield, I don't really have much time to do any work in the shop, so unfortunately that means no videos for y'all. But I'm back, and I think we're going to be working on this 1967 F100 today. It's I've had it for a couple years now, and I haven't really done much work to it. And we've had several reasons because of that. We're going to dig into that today and let you guys know what my plans are for it. Some things have changed. I found a unbelievable item that is like a needle in the haystack find for this truck. And I'm just so happy I was able to find that, because that completely changes my mindset with this truck. Where not long ago I was ready to just punt this one down the road and give up on it and move forward. But the new item I found, hint, it's behind the truck. It changed everything for this truck. So let's go dig into it and fill you guys in. All right, guys, let's dig into this 67 F100. To give you a little bit of a refresher on this truck, I've had it for several years, like I said, and just didn't really have a good plan for it. This was formerly a Southwestern Bell telephone service truck. This truck is really solid. The whole reason I bought this truck, what caught my eye in the for sale listing is there's no rot in the fenders there. So I've been wanting to do a patina build for a long time. And to do one right, it's kind of hard to do with something that's got rust holes in it. Now, I know you can patch the rust holes and then match the patina on your paint, you know, to kind of, you know, blend it all together. But I'm not that good, or I don't have enough confidence in myself to be able to do that good enough that you can't tell that you did it. So finding something that's not full of rust holes but has a really good patina has been always hard for me. But I saw this truck for sale and I noticed it didn't have rust in the fenders, so that's the biggest hurdle with these trucks, since they always like to rust out fenders. And it is a very solid truck to begin with because we have really good cab mounts. The floors have some issues. I think just from setting, we have some holes, you know, some water, moisture got underneath the floor mat, unfortunately, and rotted out the floor. So it does have some floor issues. But the majority of the cab is very, very solid. So that's the whole reason I bought this truck. And I was kind of originally thinking we're going to do a Highboy swap on this thing. I bought this for the cab because I knew the bed didn't match. I was like, well, I'll throw this cab on my 67 Highboy and we'll have a cool patina Highboy, put a flatbed on it or something, make a cool truck, and go from there. But my 67 Highboy is of 1 of 20 with Wimbledon white with green interior. And I kind of fell in love with that interior and decided, man, I need to go back with Wimbledon white and green interior on that truck. So decided not to do that to this truck. Plus, it's a short wheelbase and a Southwestern Bell service truck, which are, you know, pretty cool things in itself. They're kind of unique. So I thought, well, let's not take this thing apart just yet. So I let it sit until I found something with the bed. Now, the bed on this thing isn't original. Since it was a service truck, it would have had a utility bed on it. This truck would have had, being a 67 from the research I found, it would have had like a boxier utility bed, like a general utility bed, but it would have been green, much like this one back here. We'll get to that in a minute. So being that this bed doesn't match, and trying to find something that matches this fleet color paint is going to be impossible, we just let it set until I found a solution for the bed. And I almost got ready to sell this thing because I was just like, I'm never going to find anything that matches. I gave up. I need to sell this thing so someone can build it, have fun with it, do something with it, since I'm not doing anything with it. And then while we had a rain day in the hayfield, I was off for the day. This thing popped up on Facebook and I immediately, instantly messaged the guy and wanted to come look at it, because this is an actual Bell Telephone service bed. So this is like the actual Bell Telephone unique service bed that they had made for these trucks. This is actually a 55 model, so it's kind of older than this one. Although I had some guys tell me that they would retrofit the beds to the newer trucks. Like they'd upgrade the truck and they'd put the bed back on an older bed on a newer truck and keep recycling the bed. So who knows, this kind of bed could have been on this style of truck. I'm not really sure, but this is a 1955 model bed, and it was custom made by a coach company called York and Hoover Corporation in York, Pennsylvania. But right here's the date, November 22nd, 1955. So finding this bed that matches this truck in the same color, because it's the same unique Bell Telephone green color. So this thing popped up for sale and I had to go get it. Now, this bed is slightly rougher than the truck, so I'm a little bit worried that the bed condition's not gonna match the truck condition. I guess we'll see how it cleans up and how well I can make it match and clean up to match the patina of the truck, I guess. And unfortunately, somebody has painted some other green, a different green color on top of this that's like spray paint, and it's faded down back to the kind of army green color that is original to this truck and this bed. But that green paint is still, you can see it in a lot of places. And back here on the back, you can see I worked on sanding some of it off to see how hard it's going to be to come off, and it's not going to be easy, I don't think. So not quite sure what I'm going to be doing there. It's kind of making me nervous about trying to get that green paint off without ruining the paint underneath. So if any of you guys have any ideas on that, please let me know down in the comments and help me out there, because I'm new to all that, and getting that old spray paint. I guess it's probably, I don't know what it is. I guess it was brushed on, so it's probably not spray paint, but getting that old paint off of there so we can get down to the green paint. Now right here, you can see where I cleaned off a lot of the oxidation that was on it, like this yellowing over here. That's all oxidation. I cleaned a lot of it off here, and I think it matches the truck perfectly. Once we put some sauce on it or something, it's gonna match perfectly. So I got that oxidation layer off and revealed the nice kind of army green color that this stuff is. Now, it has some goofy taillights that aren't correct. The side panels are kind of beat up. The back panel here is rusted a little bit. The top panel here is rusted a little bit. There's wood underneath this. And the doors were stuck when I got it, but I did get them open. And the interior is kind of beat up, and the plywood underneath is all rotten and coming apart as well. So this bed needs a lot of work. And the truck, as nice as it is, it needs a lot of work as well, because it's been sitting for, I think, since like the mid to late 80s. The inspection sticker on here is the old style that I think they quit in sometime in the 80s. And the battery in here has a date code on it of 1980, what is it, 88? I'm pretty sure this is 80 and not 90, going off of everything else in the truck. So the code on the battery would be, they bought it in 1988. So this thing has been sitting for a very, very, very long time, and consequently, all the gaskets, like the windshield gaskets, they're dry rotted and completely cracked. Well, obviously the windshield's cracked, so we need a new windshield. But like the rattle kits and the doors, they're all dry, hard, and brittle. The seat's all busted out. The rubber on the rear window is cracked, and obviously the dash pad is way bad because it sat out in the Oklahoma sun in southern Oklahoma for all those years. And everything is just kind of sun-baked and cracked, like all the door seals. So all of that stuff would really need to be replaced if we're going to make this thing nice. The steering column for the 3-speed's all blown out and loose, and just all kinds of little stuff like that, which adds up a lot in the time department and in the money department when you're buying all this stuff. But one good thing is the little 240 in here is free and does spin over. That belt is on its last leg, but it does spin the crank over. So we do have some hope of getting this thing running. Now, I know the carburetor is full of a bunch of junk, so I got to take the carburetor off and clean all that, because there's some mice droppings that got down in there. Hopefully they're not in the intake, but I guess we'll find out. Since the engine spins over free, I think we're good on the cylinders, but I do want to probably pop the spark plugs out and give it a little bit of lubrication in there before we start spinning this thing over. Now, one thing that is concerning, we are missing a starter. So I don't know if somebody burned up the starter trying to get this thing running, or if the starter was bad and that's why they parked it and didn't ever replace the starter. I don't know. Probably not the second or the latter. There's probably some more issues, but I think the first thing we need to do is, for one, I need to throw this bed on this truck just because that's what it needs. Even if I sell it not running, I need to have that bed on this truck because I want to see it. I think it'll be really cool. I think it'll be a neat little truck with that awesome service bed that's really unique on the short wheelbase truck. And I just think it would look awesome. Now, where we go from there is the big question. Now, I do want to see if I can get this 240 running. How good does it run? Does the clutch work? I know the master cylinder is locked up, and then, you know, we can check the brakes, get the brakes working. Does the transmission shift? Even though that column is loose, can we still get it in the gear and drive it down the road? All of those things are down the road. Right now, I think we just want to get the bed on the frame. So we might be working on that later in this episode. But right now, I want to take you guys in the shop and fill you guys in with some other project updates and kind of get you caught up to speed on what's going on in the shop since I've been off the video for a while. All right, next up on the update list in the shop is my 67 crew cab. Now, this is the cab here. The last time you saw this truck, it was still yellow and we were taking it to sandblasting. Hey guys, I just got the cab up here to Rob Carroll's Sandblasting and Painting. We're gonna get this thing sandblasted, and we have Rob here himself to talk with us about the cab and the process he does with the sandblasting, just to kind of give you guys an idea. I know a lot of you have been asking about it in the past, so we're up here. We're gonna answer some questions maybe you guys have had. Rob, what do you think you see?
This is your basic existing paint job, several layers. Layers have to be taken off layer at a time. One of those things where you have to make sure that you have the talent and you have your machine set properly, take the proper approach at it. It's the main thing.
Yeah, I know we were talking about that earlier. The concern a lot of guys have, the number one question I get anytime I get something blasted was to tell me they're going to warp the panels, it's going to ruin it, and I'm going to spend all that time fixing everything after something's been sandblasted. So I know you guys take a lot of care in making sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, it comes with a lot of talent. You can't really just buy machinery and think it's going to work. I mean, like I've said before, I know welders that couldn't weld up 1/4 inch plate together, and then I know welders that can put tin foil together. So it's all kind of a talent thing, just like anything.
Probably just like painting, you know, anybody with a paint gun can put paint on something, but it takes a good painter to do a good, you know, like automotive quality paint jobs. So
I always say a lot of painters watch it come out of the end of the gun, but they don't know what it's doing.
Yeah, that's probably me. Yeah. Do you see anything that concerns you as far as the substrate here we have, or is there anything that's not standard? Good
cab, looks like good shape. You know, we were looking, you can see the holes that they've filled. Looks like they've just filled them with some plastic in them instead of doing them the correct way. Looks like Matt's doing it the right way. He's filling everything up with metal, and of course we got to get her all stripped off and see where our next move is. It's always upon discovery.
Have you ever done one where you haven't found anything extra after you blasted one?
No, I've found them. It's been service trucks, and they've had logos locked underneath the paint jobs. As you take them off, you can see who it used to belong to.
Yeah,
really neat.
There's on the other side, you can see some spots where I burned through the paint trying to find some logos, because this is a government truck, and I was hoping to find some logos painted on the side of the truck to figure out what government agency had this.
Yeah.
But unfortunately I didn't find it. It's been stripped down and painted. I think we're 4 paint jobs in. You can see where the door handles were. There's some white, and it was gray originally, and we had some green, and now we're yellow. So we'll see what everything looks like. So if you have any questions, comment down below, and I'll try to get them answered as best as I can. So thanks, guys.
Thanks.
And getting it all blasted, all that yellow blasted off, the old crappy body work, and all those layers of paint. I think there's 4 or 5 layers of paint on this thing. All those blasted off down to bare metal, and then we got it sealed up with epoxy primer. Now we got it back here, and this thing is fantastic. My sandblaster guy kind of made me worried whenever he told me it was ready. He said, man, it had a lot of stuff in it, and we uncovered a lot of stuff, and you got a lot of work ahead of you. So I was really nervous when I went up there to look at it, thinking, man, we just uncovered a bunch of stuff with all that Bondo that was on this thing. And really, it's not bad. I mean, it's not great, but it's not bad. The main thing right here, I didn't know about this. Somebody kind of goobered up in the antenna hole, and there's a hole here. I knew about all this. I just wanted to get all that. There's so much Bondo on this area right here. it was being a pain, and you know, he just blasted all that for me. So we'll be able to fix this stuff a lot easier now, and know that we're not going to be missing a spot. Before, you know, you're grinding a spot, if you don't take everything off, you might miss a spot. Like this right here, I didn't even know it was here. So now we know where everything is, and we can get it all taken care of. This spot right here is actually the factory seam where they patch these doors together, the rear doors. You can see here, the seam here, and then this right here, they're kind of like leaded together. So that is original body work from the factory, but we'll be smoothing that up. And there's a whammy back here in the corner. I think I knew about that because I welded up these spots right here. So we'll be smoothing that out and getting that worked out. The biggest thing up here was the roof. The roof is really nice. No rust in the drip rail. So that is very common on these crew cabs. This thing didn't have any rust up here, so that is very happy. Down in the drip rails look perfect down here. You can see the spot welds, all of these spot welds. That is really rare on these crew cabs to have that clean of a drip rail. So that makes me really happy because that is a lot of time to fix. We did have some stuff up here. Somebody had some cab lights or something screwed up in here with all these holes on the roof, so we'll have to smooth that out. And it is oil caning very bad. Now this was doing this before I took it to sandblasting. I know sandblasting can cause a lot of warpage, but this was like this whenever I got it. The roof is very loose, and like there, it just popped in, popped back out. So the roof is very loose and oil caning. I'm pretty nervous about taking care of that myself because that is a big job, and I don't want to screw up this roof. So I'm thinking I might get a professional to tighten this roof up for me and get it tightened back up and get rid of the oil canning. We're yet to get all that sorted out yet, so we still have some. I might try to do it myself or practice on something else and see what I can get by here if I can't find anybody to do that. We had a spot right here I didn't necessarily know about. They hammered it out here, right here in the corner. Seems like always the bumps are always dented in on these things. On my Ultimate Crew Cab, I had to fix the same thing on the rear doors. But as far as rust goes, the only speck of rust we found is right here in the floorboard. I did patch a spot right here, and then we had this spot right here show up, so I maybe should have just did a whole floor pan, but since I've already patched this spot, we might just do a spot up here and get rid of that rust. But as far as rust goes, I'll take it all day long, with that being the only rust that we found in the whole truck. So this thing is really good shape and a perfect starting point for this project, and I couldn't be happier for this, and I want to get working on it. I don't really like doing the body work in the summer. I did the body work for my Ultimate Crew Cab in the summertime, and working with the body filler and stuff like that was just a pain because it was so hot. So I'm thinking I want to work on this in the fall as far as the body work goes. So that's kind of my thought process, is working on that 67 short wheelbase truck and kind of letting it cool off a bit before I start working on this thing. But I'm really excited about getting this thing done and put together. So that's why I also don't want to make a major project out of that short wheelbase truck, so I can kind of get it done and spend a month on it and send it down the road, and then we can get going on this thing full blast. Now for the bed on this, if you notice, we don't have a bed black from sandblasting. I'm going to be building a brand new bed for this thing out of the new reproduction parts, so you can make a whole new short bed now. I'm going to tackle that myself, see if we can get a bed put together for this thing. I'm going to make a video series on that, so be looking out for that if you're interested in that. And we'll get a brand new bed put together for this thing in the cab, and hopefully get it ready for paint. And I'm going to take it to the same guy that painted my Ultimate Crew Cab back there, the guy that actually does my sandblasting for me. Now, I've mentioned in the past, he's not an automotive painter, but he did an awesome job on my Ultimate Crew Cab, so I think they're going to tackle this one as well. I'm going to do a Forestry Service type tribute on this truck. It's going to be Forestry Service mint green on the bottom, and they had a gray cab from here, not exactly like the 4 two-tones. It was from the window line up was gray, and the bottom is the mint green. We're going to be doing that on this truck because this was a government order truck. We're going to kind of go with the government theme and being a Forestry Service truck, even though it was something else because it was gray. You know, it could have been a I think Army Corps of Engineers had some gray trucks. Civil Defense had some gray truck, and there'd be other agencies that were probably gray, just kind of a generic gray, and they had their logo on the side. Unfortunately, we don't know what this truck was originally, so That's why I'm going with the Forester Service, because I think it would be cool with the four-wheel drive. Speaking of four-wheel drive, we have the chassis over here we need to work on, which is this right here. I need to get the steering sorted out. Remember, we did the four-wheel drive conversion on it already, and we mounted the Godzilla engine in here, but I need to get the steering sorted out. I have a steering gear with it, and we're doing crossover steering with the leaf springs, and I think we have it fit right there where it's going to fit in this area right here. I'm going to put a Super Duty steering gear, but we're just in the planning stages on that. I don't have anything started yet, so we'll be showing that later. But I think I want to focus on the body work on this thing before we really get into the chassis, because when that thing's gone in paint, I can then get the chassis ready and have, you know, maybe kind of try to work on the chassis while this thing's getting painted. So yeah, this 67 crew cab is kind of my main project I want to work on for the channel, for the truck I'm selling. You know, that 67 short wheelbase truck is just going to be a quick, I'm not trying to make a bunch of money on it, just having fun with it and showing you guys. This one's going to be the main money maker for actually like keeping the lights on in the shop. So it's going to be the main focus once that 67 short wheelbase truck is gone. Now back here with the Ultimate Crew Cab, I think the last time we saw this, we were working on the doors and the interior and the wiring, and that is where I've left off on this thing. I haven't touched it in several months, mainly because I was starting on the wiring, and you have to get so in depth on the wiring as far as your head and making and remembering what you did yesterday and picking up where you left off. And if you forget, you have to go through the process of trying to figure out what you were doing, and it just takes up so much time. And with my schedule in the summertime, it was just hard to keep that going at a reasonable pace. So I decided to shelve it for now, and I'm going to get back on this thing when I have some actual, like a full couple weeks to work on it and get going on it. So unfortunately, this thing has just been setting, and we haven't done much to it. I did get the door locks installed, the wireless door locks, and got the window cranks in and all the glass. So that was a big hurdle. But now we're just working on basically the American Auto wire harness and getting that integrated with all the Dakota Digital boxes, which are up here, and getting all that wired in, which is just a big mess. It just takes up so much time. And like I said, we're just letting it sit until I have some more time to work on it. And I also need to get the inner fenders painted so I can do final assembly on the front end. So lots of little stuff I got to do on this truck that takes up so much time. Hopefully we'll be able to squeeze that in between doing the body work on the 67 crew cab back there, because I want to be driving this thing, but I can't let it get in the way of the stuff that actually pays the bills and allows me to build this kind of truck for me to keep. So those are the big hurdles with what we're facing on now with the crew cabs. Now I want to give you an update on the 67 Highboy, my Ultimate Highboy truck that we did an engine kind of refresh on it not too long ago on the channel. So I'm going to give you an update on that truck as well. Well, here's the 67 Ultimate Highboy that we saw on this channel on the last episode where we did the engine work to it. And it's here at my house in my storage shed, blocked in by my camper, so we're just filming about it here. Unfortunately, I started having some issues with this thing not long after I got this thing done. And it's all EFI related and the way this thing runs. I don't know if you remember whenever I did that episode when we were test driving it, I said it was having problems stumbling when you're getting on the throttle and cutting out and running dead lean. Well, it started doing that again on me, and it was like a 102-degree day. It was a really hot day, and I went to town to get some stuff, and I was coming back home pulling a hill, and it wouldn't even pull up the hill. I had to sit there and try to get the thing cooled off, and I finally was able to get it to run good enough in low range to get off the road. I was like on the side of the road. It was really, really frustrating, and unfortunately my tablet was dead, and I couldn't read the parameters and figure out what was going on, but it was acting just the same as it was the other day. Fuel pressure was fine. It was just as soon as you give it any throttle, it just goes like 18 to 1, 19 to 1, dead lean, and it was even backfiring and lean popping and stuff like that. So something is going on in here. I know it's probably something I did with the setup. This Edelbrock setup is a dead head design, so the fuel rail dead ends on there, and I am using their adjustable fuel sump system the way they had it rigged up, where it feeds fuel. There's a regulator in here with a fuel pump, and then the engine pump feeds it here. But I'm just guessing something under here got vapor locked, or something, the fuel rails might have got too hot, and there wasn't good fuel to those fuel injectors there, or something of that nature is going on here. And all this is a long story short to say, I'm getting pretty frustrated with the system, the setup on this truck. Now, the whole reason I built this truck was to make it more reliable, more friendly to hop in and drive cross country in, and I wanted to be able to drive this thing long distances, and I'm not doing that now because I don't trust it. There's just too much about it that's kind of making me want to keep it close to home, because someone had to come tow me back home. When we got about halfway home, I fired it up and it ran fine after it kind of cooled off. But it just sat here since then, and I haven't had time to dig into it because we've been busy, obviously. So I don't know. I kind of had the thought of maybe throwing a carburetor on this 428 and getting rid of the EFI and going back to a simpler system and maybe having less problems. But I also had the thought of, since we have the 6R80 transmission in here already, throwing a Godzilla in here and keeping with the theme of a big block pushrod Ford V8 in this thing, but a lot more modern and hopefully more reliable and more efficient. So that's definitely a down the road problem on this truck. I just kind of wanted to give you guys an update on it because I am having problems with it still, and it's very, very frustrating to me. So I guess let me know down in the comments what you guys think I should do with this thing. Should I stick it out, keep the 428, carburate it, figure out the fuel injection on it, change a different fuel injection system, put Godzilla in it? We have lots of options. Just not sure what I'm doing there. I do think that the 428 would be an awesome engine to put in my 71 Highboy crew cab, because I was going to build a stroker 390 for that truck, but it would be really cool if we put this 428 in there and had a cooler engine in that truck. And obviously I would change something up with the fuel injection system so it's more reliable in that truck. But anyway, just wanted to give you an update on this truck and kind of some problems I'm having with it, and throw some ideas around with you guys. So let me know down in the comments what you think I should do with this 428 or change it up with a Godzilla. Let's get back to that 67 short wheelbase truck. Okay, we're back on this 67. Now the first step is going to be to remove this bed. Generally, I would take the tailgate off of these things just so you don't risk beating up the tailgate, but this one obviously is, that's not really a concern with this one. So I'm going to leave it on and see if we can get it off without it. Being a short bed, hopefully it's not too front heavy. I do have some really long forks on my forklift, so I think that helps. Now I do have these oak timbers here, just some stuff we got when we got stuff in shipping and stuff. These work really great for picking beds up because I set them in there and it gets up on the rails. I'm going to drive the forklift up in there and get them adjusted. We'll see if we can pick this thing off. Now luckily the previous owner barely installed the bed, so I got all the bolts and stuff out of it. That wasn't too hard. Let's see how close I got first try. Make sure we're going to stay off the cab. Looks like we're good there. We are clear. There's a little bit of wires here. I think those are good. I think we're good. All right, bed is off. I think the next step is going to be we're going to inspect the bottom of our utility bed, and I think some of the brackets and stuff are kind of bent on it from over the years of being thrown around. We might have to straighten those out, and then we'll be throwing this thing, that utility bed, on this frame. Okay, I know how I said the underside of this thing is a little bit beat up, and it's not great, but I decided to just set the bed on here and see what we're working with, because that stuff may even be in the wrong place and I'll have to cut it out and redo it anyway. So let's just set it on here and see what it looks like and kind of get a game plan, because this bed will probably be coming back off. But I thought, hey, we can just set it on there. So let's see how it goes. All right, I ran into a problem. My fork cylinder, or the lift cylinder, is hitting the hitch on the frame. And I couldn't figure out why the dang thing was dropping down on me and wasn't touching the truck yet. The bed wasn't touching yet. And it was because the lift cylinder was hitting that ball hitch and dropping the frame down. I couldn't set it down. So I'm gonna set it down and try to back it up just like a couple inches. Okay, that didn't work. I'm gonna re-rig and we'll catch back up with you when I get something figured out. All right, I'm re-rigged now. Let's try this again. Been a mess so far. So there we have it. Nothing to it. Easy peasy. Nothing's ever easy. All right, guys, well, here it is. Now, reminder that this bed is just sitting on the frame here. I didn't attach it or anything, so it's not exactly square and it's not exactly sitting right, but it'll give you the idea of what I'm looking at here. I thought it turned out pretty nice. I do want to, I'm glad I set the box on here because I do want to lower it some. If you can tell the gap between the wheel and the fender there, that's just a little bit too much in my opinion, but there is the runners under this thing. I think I can notch them in such a way to drop the bed about 2 inches down. So I think I'm gonna work on that. I'm probably gonna pull it inside and rig it up till I can pick the bed up with my 2-post lift, and then I can kind of finesse it and get it down to where it needs to go. This fender here is pretty crumpled up, and that's kind of throwing the wheelbase off. I thought it wasn't gonna be right, but then I looked on the other side and I think it's correct. It's just because that fender's bowed in a little bit there. But this thing is looking great. I think once we get kind of something done to the finish on the bed and the cab, it'll look even better. Right now it is very, very oxidized. I need to either polish it some or get some sauce to put on it or something of that nature. Haven't decided what I'm doing there. I guess it depends on how far I really want to take this truck. Now, like literally 5 minutes before I started filming this, I was actually bidding on a truck to be a donor truck for this. It was actually an F600 fire truck and had a really nice interior, and I was going to use it to donate all the interior parts for this truck. It had a really nice seat, really nice dash pad, headliner, all that kind of stuff. And I thought, man, that'd be a good truck to get some parts for this thing without having to break the bank and buy all new. But of course, the last 5 minutes, the thing shot up, and now it's up to like $3,800, and I can't buy it just for interior parts to spending that much money. So unfortunately, I'm back to the drawing board on that. I thought I had it all figured out if I was to get that truck bought for a reasonable amount of money, but I think we can still make this thing pretty reasonable and pretty nice without spending a ton of time and a ton of money on it. So that's kind of my goal. I think I'm not going to get carried away. Going to try not to get carried away. We're going to get the engine running, clean up the interior, make it so it can run and drive, work on the brakes. The brakes are terrible. Mount this bed, and we'll get after that on the next episode on this truck. So if you want to see that, hit subscribe so you know when that happens. Give me a thumbs up if you like this Southwestern Bell service truck. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching, guys.